I've long held the belief and seen it happen that universities can not only be a seat of learning, but also an effective economic catalyst for the areas in which they're located. Now, sometimes the challenge may outwardly seem just too big, but that's where good and local leadership can prevail. One such area, which I believe may become the envy of the rest of the UK, if not parts of the world, is Teesside, an area I've personally known for over 40 years. And it's here that Teesside University has truly played a crucial and catalytic part in the regeneration and demonstrated great leadership. So, an ideal subject for our Meet the Leaders show. Let's meet the Pro Vice-Chancellor for Enterprise and Business at Teesside University, Professor Jane Turner. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you, Malcolm. I'm absolutely delighted to be here to have an opportunity to shout about Teesside and the Tees Valley.
We're delighted that you've kindly joined us today as well. So before we get into our questions, though, for our worldwide viewers and listeners, please give us a brief overview of the area and the university.
Absolutely delighted to. So the Tees Valley, it's a city region in the northeast of England. It's around the lower reaches of the River Tees. It's home to almost 700,000 people. It's got an international airport, the deepest water port on the east coast of England, which I'll come back to, a reputation for excellence in innovation and industry, and the only mayoral development corporation outside of London. And it's also an exceptional destination to invest, work, live, and visit. We've got a reputation across key sectors in terms of offshore, advanced manufacturing and engineering, chemicals and process, and logistics. And there's key emerging exciting sectors that we're involved in around life sciences, digital, energy and renewable, and business services. And Teesside University is at the heart of all of that activity and opportunity. We've got just under 20,000 students, many of whom hail from the Tees Valley region. So we're a civic university at the heart of our region. We're at one university in one LEP region, so we take that responsibility very seriously in terms of social mobility, equality and inclusion, community, sustainability and ethical business, being engaged and impactful as a university, and driving economic growth and prosperity.
Wow. So what to you personally makes the area special? I know myself because I've spent many times Hartlepool and so on then. So what makes it special, apart from the university, of course?
Well, I grew up in the Tees Valley. I grew up in a town called Gisborough, so I'm speaking authentically here, and it's the people. It's a real hidden gem in terms of a community, but also what it offers in terms of heritage, history, the culture, the leisure, the scenery. And there's something about the grit and the determination of the people of the Tees Valley. It has had its fair share of economic shocks. And when I joined the university 4 years ago, it was just around the time of the SSI closure. But it has an opportunity, and it also always seems to seize on an opportunity to rebound from those shocks. So it's got a very high quality of life, a lower cost of living, and it's that perfect balance that you can find in the Tees Valley, in my view and experience.
As you say, such an incredible mix, with the coast and the beautiful moorlands and everything. How are you working with authorities and organisations to improve the economy and generate greater awareness of Teesside in general?
Where we, again, take this role very seriously in my role as Pro Vice-Chancellor. So over the last 4 years, we have developed extremely close working relationships with the combined authority, with the local authorities, with the NHS Trust, with the SME community, and we've assumed this leadership convening role. We've taken our time and continue to take our time to understand the regional economy, the ecosystem. So in May, we worked with the combined authority and launched a business survey. We had over 1,100 responses to that survey from the business community, just to find out the pulse and how they were experiencing COVID, for example. We get alongside the key policymakers. I've just come off a call with the CBI President and Chief Executive representing universities across the UK. We question, we challenge the status quo, and we understand that we hold some key levers for change as a university, and we take, as I said, that role very seriously. So we are partnered very closely with the organisations and the businesses that really drive the economy. and we have memorandums of understanding in place with all of those organisations, but they're not just bits of paper. We deliver against those, and we have that reputation that as a university, when we partner, we actually deliver what we promise.
Yeah, that leads me on to my next question, because I've always been impressed by the willingness of Teesside University to collaborate locally. I know that Teesside's impressive changes, led by the Mayor and the Combined Authority, have been lauded, but COVID-19 cannot have helped, can it? How have you adjusted and adapted at Teesside University so that you can manage both your core job of learning and continue with your support of the region's economic revival? Where have you had to be agile?
Obviously, like all universities, our relationship with our students has been key to protect their learning experiences as far as possible. We have a large percentage of our students come from the Tees Valley and the wider Northeast, and they stay in the region thereafter. So we have, again, very close relationship with our students as a result of that. Once they graduate as well. But in terms of where we've adjusted what we do in terms of my team, which is very much around driving that economic development agenda, we've put in place a number of support programs that I can just quickly canter through. So we've run a digital skills for growth program, and that's helped individuals and businesses pivot their skill set around digital capability during COVID. We've offered one-to-one business coaching. We've run online COVID business workshops for those struggling during lockdown, those businesses and startups. We've done a lot of diagnostic work with companies to address the specific challenges that they've faced, and then help them in terms of bid writing to apply for funding as a result of that. We have Digital City, which is an economic development concept that's been running for over 15 years, supporting digital companies. So we've gone out again and offered further support to early stage digital companies. We've, again, done further bid writing for businesses, and we've supported our startup community. We have a very healthy and thriving incubator facility on our campus that's been in place for 18 years. And we've put all of that support online and run something called Microbiz Academy over the last 3 months. And we've been putting our graduates into virtual placements in the business community as well. So I could go on, but they're just some of the examples of how we've pivoted a lot of what we've done, or tweaked a lot of our activity to absolutely focus on the crisis that our business community was facing and is facing continually.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and I love those examples of pivoting. Brexit, coronavirus, recession, climate change, they're all business whammies that we're going to be facing. How can Teesside as a region ride the wave of these and emerge as leaders and an ideal place to invest or even relocate to?
Again, for me, this is around collective regional leadership, and this is where those partnerships I've just referred to have really come into play. So it's been working collaboratively to really understand the issues that our business community are facing, and we've done that in a very thoughtful and an evidence-based way. And therefore, we're looking at those businesses that we think will not survive and how we support the individuals concerned in those businesses. Those that will survive but will need significant support, and what's our role as a university in that. And those that are actually thriving and will continue to thrive and grow, and how we can facilitate that as well. But as a region, we've made the case for a free zone pilot at Teesport. That has the capacity to increase our trade volumes, good domestic and international connections, ample land access to key inputs, including labour and energy. So well marketing that is really important to us. We've got the Tees Valley investment plan, so there's 30 million has been committed to supporting business growth, further 2 million committed to inward investment support, and then 160 million has been committed to unlocking business sites to enable inward investment and FDI. And a further 56.5 million committed for the infrastructure and land acquisition at the South Tees Development Corporation. So this is the former SSI site and some, which continues to be developed at a rapid pace. And then the Tees Valley Business Growth Hub, supporting businesses in developing new products or processes, growth of SMEs, scale up businesses, introducing new business grants and finance programs. Again, the university having a golden thread running through all of those activities.
It's brilliant, that, because you're not just focusing upon one thing. You're in there. It's constant being agile. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is something that I get annoyed about. Some of the Teesside towns, such as Middlesbrough and Hartlepool, are all too often used by the media as areas of severe deprivation and crime. as if there weren't other places in the UK. In the face of that sort of adversity, how do you market Teesside University so that students, especially those from overseas who don't know the area, feel safe and want to study in the area?
It makes me really angry as well, Malcolm, having grown up in the area. And I actually, just very quickly, I had a roundtable meeting with the Director General of the BBC about 3 years ago. And that morning, driving into work, I was listening to Radio 4, and Hartlepool was being cited very negatively in an interview. And I used that as an example to him and just said, this constant, as you said, downplaying the region, and it's the obvious place where the media seems to turn to when it wants to position negative messages and stories. And it's also the impact, as I said to him, this has on the young people that live in our region, particularly young women and young girls in our region, which face real adversity and real challenges. And I know that as the gender champion for the university and the work that I do on the gender agenda. So in terms of how we address that, I constantly challenge those views and perceptions, and we as a collective university do so, and we very much focus on the positive stories, and we've got some amazing talent in our region, and we very much pick that out and profile that. For our international students, we have a range of agents across the world that are promoting Teesside University, and pre-COVID, and we've actually had them here many times, our agents. So they actively experience the region and the opportunities it presents. So they are authentically promoting Teesside University to prospective international students as well. But yeah, I constantly am on high alert for those negative messages, so that we can counteract those, because we can. There is such a surge of activity that we can come back with that positively cancels out the negatives.
Let's hope we're doing that on this particular interview. Let's leap forward 5 years or even more. And as you know, in business, you need to be different, stand out, be the best of breed. What 3 or 4 things would you like Teesside, and especially Teesside University, to be known for being best of breed of?
And again, I'll answer this in terms of Teesside and the Tees Valley and the university as a collective. But what we will be known for, not what we'd like to be known for, I'm very confident we will be known for, is our capability around clean energy, the carbon capture, utilisation and storage work that's ongoing, digital, which we'll come on to later, our bioscience capability as well, particularly around bioprocessing. And we will have a place on the stage globally in terms of our capability in those areas.
Excellent. Now, digital transformation is obviously a buzz phrase at the moment, probably even more buzzing because of work from home, etc. And with most UK areas claiming to be leaders in it. But it's my personal impression that Teesside University is ahead of the game in many practical ways, such as specialities like BIM, Building Information Management. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. We have a capability in terms of digital in particular that goes back many years. So I mentioned our incubator facility earlier in the conversation, and we have been helping startup businesses from our student population over the last 18 years, particularly in digital, particularly in gaming, develop their own businesses. And we now have what's called the Boho Zone in Middlesbrough, which houses what are mostly Teesside University graduates that are running very successful global digital businesses from Middlesbrough and the wider Tees Valley. So we have state-of-the-art digital facilities, and we've got great capability in terms of our research capability in immersive technologies, construction energy, health and AI and machine learning, gaming, as I've mentioned, and a digital production studio that is a commercial strand to our external facing work. But again, an undergrad courses and postgrad courses in computing, engineering, computer science, games, animation, media, data analytics. And we've just been ranked 14th in the world in the Animation Career Review International School Rankings. And there were 85 schools considered in that because of our expertise, particularly in the digital space. So we're very proud of that.
Yeah, congratulations on that, by the way. That's really a great achievement. COVID-19 has brought extreme change in business, especially in this new normal, or some people have called it normallessness, but loads of words coming out in phrase at the moment. This new normal demand for work from home and the consequent remote leadership and management skills necessary. How have you reacted to this new need in the provision of training?
And from a personal point of view, I've been pretty vocal in terms of the business community around a thought leadership piece around this, particularly around compassionate leadership, because I think what this has enabled is a new discussion around what is good leadership, what does good leadership look like. And I look to the countries across the world that have managed the COVID response particularly well. And I don't want to go down the gender route here in this discussion, but 7 of those countries that have managed it particularly well are female leaders. So I'm just in combination and partnership with Northern Power Women, which is an organisation that covers the Northern Powerhouse region, looking at how we can move forward in terms of gender equality. We're just about to launch a questionnaire to better understand actually how leaders and managers have experienced COVID. And what they've learned about themselves and other people, and how their views of leadership have changed. And as a result of the findings from that, we will use that to then drive the development of leadership and management training moving forward, because COVID crisis is going to be with us for quite some time. So there's the research project that addresses that question, and we've been running workshops virtually on resilience, mental well-being, and offering coaching and mentoring support to our leadership and management community, because I think what became very apparent early on in March were leaders were very much in react mode, and then as the weeks went by they started to reflect on the impact it was having on them as leaders, and therefore the implications for their business, and many of them were struggling with their own mental well-being and the resilience around that. So again, as a university, we've come alongside to support our leadership and management population in the region.
Excellent. I was just talking to Dr. Jeanette Winters the other night again, and she's based in San Francisco, and is probably one of the global's top in HR, in human capital. And she was, constantly getting her CEO groupings now to talk about making sure they put the humanity or humaneness into human capital. So excellent that.
Absolutely. And again, I used to work in HR before I joined academia. And I've said many times in many articles during this period, this is a real opportunity for HR, human resource functions, to really realise their value in organisations, because quite often they're seen as an irritation. But actually that human interaction and that human support and the humanity that we need to embed in organisational cultures, and it's not necessarily about profit and the KPIs that we've measured before. And I've been interested in reading some research around donut economics that actually looks at what we measure very differently. So yeah, I can absolutely concur with that view that that we need to put the human back into HR. Yes, and how we treat people.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting that lots of people in workplace environments are now looking at how they can blend that and make a hybrid model work
absolutely
correctly.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know from the work we're doing here at BizVision, for example, with Indian companies, and only just 2 before I started talking to you today, that there are many overseas companies looking at the FDI, foreign directed investment opportunity in the UK, and thinking, hey, the time is right. It's my personal mission, by the way, to steer them to the north and not the south for their location. So please help me in that by giving them 3 or 4 key reasons why Teesside should be on their shortlist.
Okay, well, again, I'll put the people at the top. The work ethic of the people from the Tees Valley is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The Tees Valley Combined Authority is a very ambitious strategic economic plan to grow the local economy, and they're partway through the delivery of that plan, and that is heading in the right direction. So that is to create 25,000 new jobs in the next 10 years, and creating a period of sustained economic growth through inward investment is the key priority. So we've got much to offer potential investors, a very cost competitive location, whether it's starting a new business, growing your business, or relocating. We've got the infrastructure. And to support those major investments, the free zone at Teesport and our pitch for that, I've already mentioned it, will greatly increase the attractiveness of the Tees Valley and assist businesses and hopefully catalyse FDI. And then the ongoing future financial commitments from the Combined Authority to unlock brownfield and land and sites alongside the development of strategic sites, again, very attractive place for FDI. As I said before, we've got the South East Development Corporation, we've got the new Tees Advanced Manufacturing Park and Central Park in Darlington, which is becoming a major hub for healthcare and life sciences. So we opened just last year the National Horizon Centre, which is a very innovative place for bioscience research, and we're building the skills base for the bioscience business economy. We've got Fuji on our doorstep. We have a brilliant relationship with them, but there are skills that they require in the next year to 5 years that we as a university will address. We've got the Tees Valley's Enterprise Zone, so again offering financial incentives for companies to come and locate there. And there's also so much support from the Combined Authority, but also from the university as well in terms of how we can support businesses who choose to come to the Tees Valley and capitalise on those opportunities. And then there's the Tees Valley Growth Hub as well, again, a place to support businesses and startups and introduce new business grants and finance programmes. So there's a very strong ecosystem there that is attractive to FDI, and the South Tees Development Corporation and the site there and the interest that has triggered just really demonstrates and provides the evidence of the appetite that there is globally and the interest there is in the Tees Valley.
Yeah, I get the distinct opinion that there's a good coherence working together, whereas when you go into other areas, and again I shouldn't mention them, but when you go into other areas, there's suddenly an inward fighting between the different local authorities wanting to get that FDI, but you seem to be, as a region, working together, very coherent.
It is very coherent, and obviously there are challenges because we're talking about human beings here, and different authorities have different priorities, but there is a genuine collective desire to see the Tees Valley grows and develops. So colleagues are very supportive, and again it comes back to that collective regional leadership. And I have worked in other regions where there is that infighting, and we don't have that. We've got one LEP and one university, and we have a Teesside University College partnership, so we partner with the colleges in the region as well, so that education piece is very strong.
Excellent, yeah. Now, the uncertainty over Brexit, and we still have uncertainty, and the immigration rules in particular, 132 pages out this week, they've severely hurt the overseas activities of many of our UK universities, but I suggest that the continuation of UK educational standards and influence is essential and complementary to our global economic vision. How's Teesside University planning to ensure that you continue to attract overseas students to the area?
Yeah, and just in relation to your positioning of that question, we're rated as the best in the world in terms of our universities. And I think we forget that sometimes. And again, I've just come off the meeting with the CBI and the vice-chancellors from other universities and pro vice-chancellors, and actually our applications from our international students are holding up. They're actually very strong at the moment. The key concern is the safety of the students when they get here, so that at Teesside, like all universities, we are taking that extremely seriously and communicating constantly with those students, international students that have paid deposits and are clearly planning to come here. In March, we're part of the International Student Barometer Survey, global survey, which gathers feedback from international students across the world. And international students had rated Teesside University as #1 in the UK for overall average student satisfaction. So wow. that is helping us enormously. As I've mentioned earlier, we have agents overseas. We're constantly communicating with them on how we will make the students safe as possible whilst they're here studying with us. And sometimes that's challenging in terms of how we're perceived globally, in terms of how we've responded as a country, perhaps, to COVID. But so we're making so much effort and putting so much energy into reassuring and supporting those students, and to make sure that their parents and their guardians feel safe to let their children come here and study as well. So we're continuing to tell that positive story and support.
Excellent, yes. Now, I personally believe that too few people are aware or even consider the economic impact that a vibrant university contributes to an area, its spend. Can you put some numbers on the contribution by Teesside University?
I can, and this is something I was curious about 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. I wanted to actually try and quantify our contribution as a university, and actually moving into our Teesside 2025 strategy, this is actually going to be a KPI that we're measuring. So the latest figures in terms of economic impact for 18-19 was that our impact was 163 million, just over that. University spending was 143 million, and the jobs that we supported in the region as a result of our existence as a university and the work that we do was just under 3,000. And our GVA per annum was 141 million. GVA in terms of persistent benefits was 208 million. And if you pull all of that together in terms of a human capital figure, it was just under 1.4 billion.
Wow, that's a very high gross value added figure. That's excellent, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know we've covered something in our conversation so far. We've covered some aspects of what I'm going to ask you now, but let's just pull them out for people. There are many exciting developments in the area that want to track, say, the Freeport zone. So again, how is Teesside University supporting these in practical terms?
Well, we have a seat at the table. So the Vice-Chancellor is a member of the LEP board. I chair many strands of the combined authority and the board there. I'm a board member of the South Tees Site Company, which took over from the official receiver. So we look after the safety and security of the site, which is a huge site, by the way. And the bioprocessing I've talked about and the investment there, we've built a facility. We had funding, European funding and funding from the combined authority, and we put funding into that. So we're in terms of our development as a university and our strategy, we're completely aligned with the aspiration and ambition of the Tees Valley as a region. So they're the practical steps that we're making. We're not shooting off in completely different direction to where the intent lies within the mayor and the local authorities and the decision makers and the influencers within the region.
Wow. So do you think that Teesside can achieve a position of being a worldwide centre for all things green and environmentally friendly in the future? If so, what needs to happen for that to become a true reality?
It's already happening. So there's an increasing demand to build renewable energy assets, in particular offshore wind. We've been awarded UK government core status as a centre for offshore renewable engineering, and that's in recognition of the area's existing port infrastructure and our skills and the supply chain that surrounds that. The energy sector continues to thrive and grow, and that's attracted hundreds of millions of pounds of private investment over the past 2 years. And the industrial carbon capture and storage, which is led by the Teesside Collective. So that's a cluster of leading industries, which is a groundbreaking initiative with a vision to establish Tees Valley as the go-to location for future clean industrial development and making us Europe's first ICCS-equipped industrial zone. So the plans are it's already happening, and the ambition and the intent is already there. And we're researching in those areas alongside green, environmentally friendly activities so that, again, we're aligned so we can underpin the activity that's coming from the organisations that are being attracted to set up in the Tees Valley, but also we're also feeding our research into new thinking and innovation in that sector as well.
Yeah, a brilliant change from what used to be the dirty old businesses to, yeah, exciting new. Overseas students, and especially their parents, without much knowledge of the UK, and there may be many watching this, by the way, may think bigger name universities first. So why should they put Teesside University on the list? Which type of students would benefit from the most from studying at Teesside?
I've worked in another university and I used to work at Orange, and I engage with a lot of the bigger universities, bigger named universities in my role there. And what I can genuinely say is that we are a very caring, authentic university. It's not a huge university, very grounded in our region, take our civic agenda extremely seriously. As I've said previously, we attract a great deal of students from our region, and we care, and the students that come to us will not get lost in the system. They will feel like they are individuals studying at Teesside University. And in terms of disciplines, there are huge. We've got 5 academic schools delivering an array of academic programs, but in terms of specific disciplines, the bioscience, as I mentioned, the National Horizons Centre, the growth in programs, the growth in student numbers there. 3 years ago, we launched our first programs in this area and we had 80 students intake. Last year, we had over 800 on those programs. So that bioscience, bioinformatics, medical sciences, engineering, we've always had a reputation for, and it's very much in the DNA of the Tees Valley. So we continue our capability there. Forensic science, nursing, midwifery, and as I talked about earlier, the digital, the gaming, the immersive technologies, the research that's going on to underpin the programs that we deliver in those areas are very exciting. But mostly I would say it's a university that really cares about people, and because most of our staff, a lot of our staff come from the region, we have a lot of international staff as well, but they all get kind of sucked into that Tees Valley. I say there's something in the water in the Tees Valley, and it's a good thing.
Yeah, I've worked in many universities, giving talks or whatever me around the UK, but I love the friendliness of your university. And I've sat in the coffee areas before a meeting or presentation, and I found the atmosphere especially convivial. It's a special difference, I feel, from those other universities that I've visited. Is this something you actively cultivate, and how do you do it?
Well, it is. Well, I don't know whether we're very conscious about it, but it's very satisfying to hear you say that's how you experience our university. And it's obviously about the people. The Vice-Chancellor's mantra is Team Teesside, and we work together very closely. And in COVID, I think we've been remote working. We're all still working from home, but there's been something very powerful in the culture that we had that enabled us to continue to work very closely together remotely and deliver against some very serious agendas as we continue to. But we have some very strong values as a university, and it comes down to the leadership, the culture, the smell of the place, and it's how we behave and how we treat people as the senior team that matters, and we all take that role extremely seriously.
Yeah, I love the fact that what you're really saying, that you're very student-centric, which is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something about, it goes back to your comment earlier about sometimes we get bad press as a region and we're seen as the underdog, and that makes us even more determined as a university, and the people that work at our university, to position us in the best positive light, and not just accept that perception lying down.
You do great work in the social value sector at the university, and you've got a specialist team working on impact and assessments. Do you see this as a specialism of the university?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, this goes back to the DNA and in terms of our social setting and some of the challenges that that live around us as a university. So again, anchor institution, impact and public engagement are central to our mission. We're there to generate and apply knowledge that contributes to the economy, to the social and cultural success of our students and the communities that we serve. So fostering that culture is integral, part of life at Teesside. We're a signatory of the UK Concordant for engaging the public with research, and the centre you referred to for social innovation was just launched in 2019, and that was in response to this growing demand for research that addresses current societal challenges. So in our procurement of services, we're very aware of our role as a civic university and the impact that we have on our community. So that's very much at the forefront. And we aim to stimulate this greater sharing of our knowledge and our collaborative research between academics and the communities that we serve. And many organisations have measured on their success in social outcomes, and that in turn enables their ability to maintain that trust and legitimacy with their stakeholders. Again, that's something that we take extremely seriously.
Yeah, very important, yeah. Jane, our last question. So I was going to send you some Panto tickets this year, but unfortunately the Globe at Stockton won't be open but I'm going to give you 3 wishes instead, my fairy godmother time. If I gave you 3 wishes for the future of Teesside as a region, what would those 3 wishes be?
That we move from being considered one of the most deprived areas of the country, and this levelling up agenda that the government is very vocal about at the moment actually delivers for our region. That's my first. The second, and it's linked to the first, is that the media stops their constant fascination with the Tees Valley, portraying it as this very negative place. And thirdly, that the young people of our region get the futures that they deserve. And again, we take our role in that really seriously, because we can change people's futures. And that's a real, we feel very honoured and humbled to have that responsibility and that duty.
Professor Jane Turner of Teesside University, I've really enjoyed meeting you, and it's really exciting how the Teesside University is genuinely a part of the future of the region. Thank you for the interview today.
And thank you, Malcolm, for giving me the opportunity to just shout about something I'm really passionate about and giving me a voice and a platform to do so. Thank you.